So we're going to talk about the syllabus now and how to get to the syllabus. So in the D2L, you go to course materials, go to content. Once in content, you find syllabus and general stuff. And in there, you'll actually see that link there is the syllabus. You can, of course, download it, or as I'm going to do, I'm just going to open it up in here. Syllabi are taken very seriously in colleges, so it's important for us to at least have a look at what's going on in here. So you got such important details as the name of the course, the final days to drop the course, which is unfortunate that that's today. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. Let's drop without it being withdrawal, I think. Anyway, notice that it is completely online asynchronous. That basically, as I said in my other emails, it means that this is going to be delivered. The onus is kind of basically you with the book, me with the marking, and then I'm basically adding videos where I can to try and make this a little bit easier and more interactive with you. There's a description here about the about how the course is going to go. Notice no scheduled courses. The prereq was the fundamentals class, which I'm sure some of you took with me. There isn't a campus location because we don't meet in the campus. There isn't an office location because I don't have an office. So what we see is we get an email, we get a Discord server. The Discord, right, is here. It is on my own personal machine. I should have pointed out, by the way, we're actually on my own personal machine. This is not like I never got a laptop from Hennepin Tech. So anyway, but the Discord is a way for us to sort of work collaboratively in chat, and I don't use it nearly to the capacity that I probably could, given that how gamers and such use it. But anyway, that's the deal. Here's Discord. There's a channel. I think I've left it open to join at any point. If you can't join it, let me know, and I may have to renovate that link. As far as office hours go, I'm aiming at the Thursdays 5 to 6. But I'm also aiming at not sitting online waiting for people to show. So really, send me an email and we can make sure that we meet Thursdays 5 to 6. And if I am away from my computer, I'll make sure that I am really paying attention to Discord for that. All right, basic learning outcomes. It's talking about stuff. But notice here's the deal. Where this is going to go beyond your fundamentals class. Some of this stuff is going to look very familiar. Right? You're going to look at strings and numbers and arrays, and you're going to go, oh, that's a little bit familiar with the C stuff. But we're going to be using, I don't say it in here, probably not, but we're going to be using Visual Studio, a much more sophisticated integrated development environment, or IDE. We're going to be using that. We're going to be actually creating projects in that. That's also a little bit different. So this is definitely 1 or 2 generations above the stuff that you're actually using. Some of this stuff, decisions and looping, of course, you're going to be very familiar with that. But then there's other stuff that's going to be pretty interesting, especially when we're going to spend a lot more time with object-oriented programming techniques. Almost everything in Visual Studio, from a button, a field, a form, all that stuff is going to be objects. And then there's going to be stuff that's going to fire off on the events that happen in your program. When someone clicks on a button, when someone loads a form, there's a whole bunch of events, as well as functions. Functions you might vaguely remember from your Python. Lots of effort is going to be spent here about a user interface using Windows controls. It's a little bit interesting in that we are doing this in sort of a more of a client server model. I am talking with a bunch of .NET developers, and we're a little conflicted on that. However, I will say that the lessons you're learning here will work as you start to think about how to do this in more the web model. For example, when I talk about events, in a client server model, when you click on a button, it creates an event. Same deal on the web. If you click on a button, it creates an event. It's the same way of thinking. It's a slightly different implementation. All right, we are going to try and access some data, and then of course, what happens when stuff goes wrong, which we did talk about also in the fundamentals class. All right, so a little bit more there, which I'll let you read. You will need to have Visual Studio installed. I'm assuming you know how to do that. I'm not faculty, so I'm not entirely sure how you do it. I know I went off to the Azure cloud and I got it that way. There's also a free version that you can get. A little bit of Googling, you can probably figure it out. I mean, right here again, right? You can either set up an account. It says you may either set up an account, then download, or you can download and install the community edition. We're not going to be doing anything more sophisticated than what the community edition can handle. All right, we're going to go down the textbook. And, stop sharing for a second here so you can get a bigger screen. The textbook, which is this one, is actually pretty good. I'm a big fan of textbooks like this because when I had to learn all this stuff on my own, okay, for some reason, by the way, I'm trying to, there you go. That's what I was looking for. Boom. When I was learning this on my own, I had a book very much like this, Murek, I don't even think existed. But what I like about the book, as I've said in my email, is that the left-hand side is typically more like discussion on a particular topic. So the even pages, the odd pages are more demonstrations of the topic. And it is wonderful, I think, to look at that. And then I do like the exercises at the back, so of each chapter. So anyway, it's a good book, and yeah, 7th edition. So I'm right there. It's relatively recent. It's a good time. This is the actual breakdown of the course, which I'll talk about when I talk about D2L. I'll talk about how I've broken out D2L. But what I want you to understand is that yeah, it's been a bit of a jump this particular period because we've got basically 3 chapters coming in, but all those are basically just sort of set up. It's basically your introduction to Visual Studio. After this, it gets a little bit more calm. We're going to talk about data types, variables, and calculations. The reason there's 2 chapters there is that chapter 9 is dealing with dates and strings. So we got chapter 4, which is dealing more with a scalar or simple objects, and then chapter 9, which is dealing with more complex objects. Again, I hope you remember some of this from your Python days or whatever you did for your fundamentals class, because it's going to be, it'll be a slightly different way to do it, but it is the same kind of idea. All right, so then, and then we get this phase 1 assigned. What happens with homework here? And let's just go down to right there. So in the grading policies, you'll see assignments and labs. So basically there are 4 100-point assignments. That maps right to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4 of our existing running project. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a fairly cool application around every college student's favorite topic, pizza. So it's going to be the pizza application. Now, what's cool about this, from my perspective, is that this is actually a pretty unique example. So it's not something, I'm sure none of you would do this, but it's not something where students are Googling and trying to find the actual solutions to some of these assignments. That's not the way this is. Basically, the only assignments you have is doing this running project. And actually, while I'm at it, when we talk about the grades, there's also sort of a final exam. And then here, I'm just looking for engagement. Right now, by the way, I sent out a big email, and so far there's been no engagement. And I get it. That means that either you're all able to do this stuff without an issue, or no one's reading the email. So anyway, also, by the way, views. The reason I was not a big fan of doing any recordings on YouTube is because people many times weren't watching them, and especially with my life the way it is, it's very tough for me to squirrel away time where I can actually do a recording. This is now, by the way, my 2nd attempt to do this particular recording because I got interrupted the first time. So anyway, I am looking for some kind of engagement, like on Discord or emails or something as well, and obviously how timely submission of your projects. So when we're back up to here, phase 1 is due. Sorry, it's assigned on the 30th, and then phase 1 is due on the 13th. By the time you get the 13th, you'll be able to kind of do what phase 1's all about. That's kind of the way that works. So anyway, this is sort of the structure. You'll notice that, like on the 13th, there might not be a video dropping or anything like that, because this is really just a discussion about, not a discussion, it's really like a due date. So I'm trying to give a little bit of breaks going on in there. Also, we have the Thanksgiving break, but basically that's the part of the syllabus. And when I talk about D2L more, I'll talk about how I try to control it through D2L. All right, I don't think there's really anything else you might want to look at Yeah, there is tutorial centers and stuff like that. We're dealing now with .NET, so I don't know how many people actually know stuff there, but give it a kick. Huge COVID-19 requirements, which aren't really applicable for us because we are going to be staying off campus. All right, so that's kind of what I got for the syllabus. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out.